About a fried egg. I lasted about 5 minutes out there. I said, to heck with this. I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Monday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us. A Monday that finds us now 10 days away from the NFL draft up in Green Bay, Wisconsin, next Thursday night, a week from Thursday. Of course, the Jaguars have the 5th pick in round number 1. We will certainly spend some time on that tonight, as you would imagine. We are at the doorstep of the NBA postseason. In fact, this time tomorrow, the Orlando Magic and the Atlanta Hawks will officially kick off the postseason, if you will, with one of the play-in games, Orlando and Atlanta tomorrow. So we will talk a little NBA postseason tonight. Rory McIlroy, after 17 attempts, gets his green jacket at Augusta yesterday at the Masters. I think the most watched golf tournament on CBS in like 7 years. I saw it got a ton of viewership. That's what happens when you have drama at the very end, which we certainly did. And boy, the genuine raw emotion for Rory McIlroy in winning yesterday, that was something I'll remember for a while. We'll spend some time on that. Nico Iamaleava, I'm going to call him Nico from now on. Nico, out of Knoxville, in what was a gigantic story on Saturday morning, has continuously gotten bigger to the point that I think Tennessee did the world of college football a gigantic favor when they basically told Nico, yeah, we're not going to pay you what you want, basically hit the road. And Nico did. He hit the road. He's going to enter the portal reportedly tomorrow or Wednesday, whenever it opens. I think it opens Wednesday, April the 16th. But just a wild weekend with a lot of different aspects, and we're going to talk about all of them tonight here on Hacker After Dark. All right, guest lineup looks like this. Brian Sexton, Jaguars.com. He will be up in Green Bay next week for the draft. We'll go down the offseason path, how we got to this point. We'll talk James Gladstone. We'll talk Liam Cohen. We'll talk a little Mason Graham, a little Ashton Genty, among other topics, with my buddy Brian Sexton, Jaguars.com. He joins us coming up here in less than 15 minutes or so. Also, later on in the 8 o'clock hour, Connor O'Gara of Saturday Down South. Love talking college ball with Connor, as we'll take a look back on the Florida spring game. We'll certainly talk about the Nico situation in Knoxville, among many other topics in the world of college football. We also will talk with Sean Devaney, Heavy.com, previewing the NBA. A little while later, Gary Smits of the Times-Union recapping Rory's win. We're absolutely loaded. We're with you till 10 o'clock. As always, Jacksonville, we are glad you are spending part of your Monday evening with us. Every night here on Hacker After Dark, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night and Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No big deal. It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
So 2 big deals of the night. One in the world of golf, the other in the world of college football. Look, I'm serious. That emotion that Rory McIlroy showed winning the Masters yesterday evening was sensational theater. I really didn't have a dog in the fight. I wasn't passionate about it one way or the other. I was in it for the story, right? I was in it to be entertained, see good competitive golf, and whoever wins, wins. I didn't have a vested interest in who won necessarily. Justin Rose would have been fine. Scotty Scheffler would have been a great story, right? All kinds of great stories. But obviously Rory was also one of those great stories. And how he did it, blowing that lead. Look, I'll tell you this. On the 13th hole, when he had 86 yards to the green and he put it in the ditch, you will not find a worse shot this entire year for Rory McIlroy than that one. That was unbelievable. I mean, that was something that I would do, or that I did a lot, quite frankly, on Saturday when I played golf for the first time in a couple of years. I had 86 yards to the green, and I left it 20 yards short and ended up in the drink. I could not believe how bad a shot that was. But Rory recovered. That's what he does. Then he has a one-shot lead going to 18. He's got, 4 feet to win the Masters, to get that giant elephant off his back? And he pushes it. And he blows essentially a 5-shot lead in the back 9 of Augusta on Sunday. And now he's got to go to a one-hole playoff. Is it going to happen again? All the talk about the Grand Slam, all the talk about finally winning at Augusta, and did Rory blow it again down the stretch? It certainly looked like it. Justin Rose played a good playoff hole. Rory McIlroy played a phenomenal playoff hole. And when he hit that putt yesterday, and that 11-year wait from one major to the next came off his shoulders, winning at Augusta for the first time in 17 tries, the relief on the face of Rory McIlroy, isn't that what sports is all about? I mean, it was just terrific theater, terrific cinema, the embrace with his family, the embrace with his buddies, getting the green jacket put on him from Scotty Scheffler, addressing the crowd yesterday at Augusta. Just fantastic. Not to mention, we saw history, right? He's only the 6th golfer ever with the career Grand Slam, joining names like Hogan, Woods, Palmer, Nicholas. I believe Saracen was the other one, and now McIlroy. That's pretty good company to be in. And if you want to get a little ambitious, and I'll talk about this with Gary Smits later on, Rory's got a Players under his belt in 2025. He's got a Masters under his belt in 2025. The course where they're playing, the PGA, he's had a lot of success in the past. The U.S. Open course this year matches up to his game pretty well. And do you realize the British Open, or the Open Championship, as it's called across the pond, is in Northern Ireland, his home country? Imagine a scenario, and again, if this happens, I would be stunned, but stay with me here. Heck, he's already got a Players and a Masters. If he gets a PGA and gets a U.S. Open, he goes home to Northern Ireland with a chance to win the Grand Slam in one calendar year. Can you imagine the theater that would be? Obviously, that would be done for the first time ever, right, in the history of golf. Wild. Wild. So that was the Masters story. I really enjoyed it, and apparently you did too. Again, that was the most watched golf tournament on CBS, I believe, dating back to 2018. So a lot of eyeballs were on Augusta National yesterday, and with good reason. It was terrific. The other big deal of the night is what we talked about on Friday. How was it going to end? The clarity we needed to get about the situation involving Nico in Knoxville, the volunteer quarterback who allegedly, reportedly, his camp, meaning his dad, from what it appears, went to Tennessee and said, yeah, I know we have this written agreement, 2.2 to 2.5 mil per year, but that's just not working for us anymore. We want to up that to $4 million per year, or else we're not playing. And Tennessee said, well, then I guess you're not playing, because they didn't do it. I said on Friday that situation with Nico in Knoxville was going to have a domino effect for a lot of people and a lot of programs in this country. Huge domino effect. And I believe it has. Tennessee held their foot to the fire, said, we're not giving in. Nico's transferring out, and I would imagine there are a lot of big-time Power 4 programs in college football that are thanking Tennessee for not caving. Because if Tennessee would have caved and given Nico and his camp what he wanted, well, then can you imagine how many other guys would be going to their coaches today around the country and said, yeah, we have that agreement, but did you see Nico in Knoxville? Yeah, Tennessee gave him what he wanted, so what about giving me a little something, something? Nope, did not happen. Look, I'm all for players getting paid. I believe players deserve to get paid. There was too many years that went by where it didn't happen. But I think there needs to be some sort of regulation. I mean, it's the wild, wild west out there. It's an absolute free-for-all. You can transfer anywhere you want, as many times as you want. NIL is completely out of hand. When I wanted players to get paid, I wasn't thinking 4, 5, 6 mil per year. I think there's got to be some real serious talks in the world of college athletics, particularly that of college football, coming up in the not-too-distant future. Maybe we set a limit on the number of times you can transfer. Maybe you transfer 1 time, no problem. But this stuff about transferring 3 and 4 times needs to get put on the back burner pretty quickly, in my opinion. Does there need to be some sort of salary cap in NIL for these things not to explode in the fashion that they have? Certainly, I think there needs to be some conversations there. But for the here and now, Tennessee held their foot to the fire. Nico and his camp did not get what they wanted. Thus, Nico's leaving. Tennessee's now got serious issues at quarterback. But I think Tennessee did the world of college athletics, at least the programs in college athletics, a lot of favors by not caving in to their quarterback and their quarterback's camp caving into their demands. But what a story in Knoxville. Again, Connor O'Gara, Saturday Down South, joins me in less than 30 minutes. And we'll kind of recap that entire situation. Where does Tennessee go here? And by the way, Florida finished their spring practice. Hello, Dallas Wilson. Welcome to Gainesville. I know it's just a spring scrimmage, if you will, but good grief. Set an orange and blue record, I think, for yardage. 10 grabs. You got Jackson. Everybody's talking about Jaden Ball at running back. Well, Jacoby Jackson's a pretty good one too, right? He looked good out there. I also like Vernell Brown, Nashawn Montgomery. A lot of things to be positive about if you're a Gator fan. And the biggest positive maybe of all is it's being said that there's an expectation that DJ Lagway will at least begin throwing in a couple of weeks. Obviously, all the speculation, the stories, the rumors about Lagway and his shoulder, how bad is it? Is there something that needs to be repaired with surgery? Is he in danger for the 2025 season? All of those are still very much in play. I don't think Florida has handled this situation very well at all, to be honest. But if they're expecting Lagway to begin throwing in a couple of weeks, and he does, well, then maybe we'll be sitting here at the beginning of August, middle of August, before the season. We'll say, you know what? Remember how all that worrying was for naught back in the spring? That's certainly one outcome. The other outcome is all this worrying is justified. And we'll probably find that out in August as well. So to be continued on the DJ Lagway story, but at least for right now, if he is going to begin throwing in a couple of weeks, that is probably a good sign. So it was a crazy weekend, an action-packed weekend. And oh, by the way, NBA playoffs getting underway tomorrow, or at least the postseason getting underway tomorrow. We'll certainly spend some time on that. Orlando and Atlanta, the Magic and the Hawks, the first 2 teams out of the gate in the play-in tomorrow in the 7-8 game in the Eastern Conference. And we are only 10 days away from the National Football League draft. The Jaguars, the 5th pick. Interesting news this evening. The New York Giants, who pick at number 3, are bringing Shedeur Sanders in for a workout. Now, I don't know what that means. Could mean nothing, could mean something. But it's interesting because all the talk in the last week or so is that Cleveland at 2 and New York at 3 would not be going Shedeur Sanders. And that might still be the case. But why bring Shedeur Sanders in a week before the draft for one final look if you're the Giants, if you're not the least bit interested? So we'll see how it plays out. Brian Sexton, Jaguars.com, will be in Green Bay for the draft next week. Jaguars.com will have terrific coverage, as they always do. I want to talk to Brian about the Hunt episode from 2 weeks ago. Talk to him about Liam Cohen, James Gladstone, preview the draft a little bit. Talk about the free agent haul. I haven't had Brian on in a while. Let's do a deep dive into the Jaguar offseason that has been, to this point. My buddy Brian Sexton, Jaguars.com, joins me next on a Monday evening here in Jacksonville, Florida. We're glad you're with us. Hacker After Dark till 10 o'clock right here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
If you bleed teal and black, we've got your back. 1010XL 92.5 FM, home of the Jaguars.
Welcome back, everybody. Okay, I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10. Charles.
6.
Oh, so close. Betty for the steal.
What about the bank that helps you reach your financial goals? Synovus.
Let's see, judges. Yes, looks like we have a winner.
That's a number?
Sorry, Charlie. Remember, a solid financial future doesn't happen by chance. Talk with Synovus about your potential today.
Brought to you by Synovus Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. The number was 4.
Bueller. Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey man, what's that noise?
Do you hear it too? You can hear it, right?
Yeah, it's your air conditioner. It's like a grinding or a rattling.
And it's getting on your nerves, right? Like it's eating at your brain and you can't think straight, but it just keeps grinding and squeaking and taunting and nagging. You're not good enough. You're a failure. Why can't you be more like your sister, the lawyer?
Yeah, I don't hear that last part so much.
Yeah, but it's not cool, right, Jason?
It could definitely be cooler. At Bueller Air and Plumbing, we can totally repair whatever that noise is and get your AC working smoothly and silently. We fix these things all the time.
So I won't be a failure?
Life should be enjoyed. If some irritating, broken air conditioner is making you crazy, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
1010XL's draft previews are brought to you by Big Brothers Big Sisters of Northeast Florida. Be a big.
If Liam Cohen is looking to replicate what he had in Tampa Bay with a pair of talented receivers, the 6'4" Ted McMillan would be amazing to pair with Brian Thomas Jr. McMillan is a possession receiver with the size and ball skills to create big wins deep. He also has a knack for adjusting his routes and working back on throws, which would certainly make Trevor Lawrence's job a whole lot easier.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes. There was a time when if you handed me a bread basket at a restaurant, you better watch your fingers. Pizza, pasta, bread, carbs were absolutely my weakness. I'd be lying if I said they didn't have me hooked. Then Awaken 180 came into my life. I've been down every diet road there is, but this is different. It's not just another diet. It's a total reset of how you see food. You know that carb craving that we all accepted as normal? That's gone for me now. Don't get me wrong. I still enjoy the good stuff, but here's the difference. I no longer feel like I need them. So when the server puts that bread basket on the table, I just smile, sit back, and say, nah, I'm good. That feeling of control is all thanks to Awaken 180. I lost 40 pounds in 9 weeks on Awaken 180. Hacker lost more than 110. Baloo is on his way, and you can lose whatever you want to lose. It doesn't matter what your goal weight is. Awaken 180 weight loss will get you there quickly and safely. It's a clear path to success without disappointment. Awaken 180 has changed my life, and it will change yours too. Give them a call at 844-346-1800 or go to awaken180weightloss.com. Trust me, you'll thank yourself.
1010XL is the home of Gator Nation and the Gator Bites podcast presented by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. I'm Hacker, and we keep you connected with the University of Florida all year long. Get Gator Bites where you find podcasts.
Hello, Jacksonville. This is John Johnson with First Coast Recycling. We buy junk cars. If you have a car or a truck that you're looking to get rid of, then look no further. If you absolutely, positively have to get that car out of there, accept no substitutes. Fast cash is at your fingertips. Just call First Coast Recycling at 904-294-1659 today for a quick and easy quote. Come on, let's take your driveway back.
It's heating up at Ride Now Jacksonville. Get water adventure ready with the 2024 Yamaha AR195 boat. With its supercharged engine, innovative design, and water sports features, the Yamaha AR195 is ready for anything you throw at it. Originally $46,000, now just $36,000. Oversized in-floor storage for wakeboards and extra gear. Deck and hull design that maximizes space, comfort, and versatility like no other 19-foot boat. Ride Now Jacksonville on Blanding Boulevard. We'll meet or beat any price on all 2024 and prior models.
St. Johns County parents, does your kid have energy to burn? Want them to play a sport for their middle school? Sign up today for the St. John's Middle School Athletic Association. Tackle football, dance, and cheerleading. Who doesn't want their kid to be the next NFL quarterback or dance floor diva? You know how fast your kid can go from playing Xbox to practicing their touchdown dance or sideline cheer? Visit sjmsaa.org. sjmsaa.org.
Mia here, and let me tell you about one of our area's best resorts, the Sawgrass Marriott Golf Resort and Spa. The Sawgrass Marriott is not only a great destination for a vacation, but it is also a great destination for dining on the Florida's first coast. 1912 Ocean Bar and Rooftop is now open on Ponte Vedra Boulevard, featuring Ponte Vedra's only oceanfront rooftop bar and lounge. Serving finely crafted cocktails and delectable eats, it's open daily from 4 to 10 with complimentary valet parking.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. And just like that, the NFL draft is next week in Green Bay, Wisconsin. The Jaguars have 10 overall picks, 6 in the top 126 selections, and of course, all eyes are on the number 5 pick in round number 1. Let's talk to a man that will be on the ground up in Green Bay, Wisconsin next week. My buddy Brian Sexton, Jaguars.com. Always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Brian, how we doing?
Brian, I'm doing great. Looking forward to Green Bay. You know, I've enjoyed going and traveling around to the draft since 2015 when they moved it out of New York and started in Chicago. It's been great. But there's just something distinct, unique about Green Bay, and I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it, no doubt about that. Green Bay, Wisconsin's going to be a lot of fun. It should be quite the weekend for the Jaguars with 10 overall picks. And I want to get there in one moment, Brian. But first and foremost, you guys over at Jaguars.com, PCAV, DeCandis, the whole team over there, I got to tell you, The Hunt a week and a half ago, the first episode that came out with Cohen and Gladstone, man, I thought that was absolutely spectacular.
You know, there's a lot of people that go into putting that production together. I am not one of them. But Gabby Dalton and Trent and Everett Sullivan, I mean, I got to give them some credit, not some credit, a lot of credit, because they're the ones who have those cameras. They're the ones who are looking for the story through the lens. It is that first-person approach to journalism. It's changed the way that the story is told in professional sports. And I like to think that the Jaguars production department, you know, led by Pat and Dave, but with Trent and Gabby and Ev and that whole crew that are really, you know, they're on the cutting edge of it.
Brian, from an outside view, because obviously I'm not in the stadium in the Miller Electric Center every day like you are, but watching that, boy, the vibe in the building just seemed different, right? And you've been through every regime, and sometimes we say that just to make people feel better, even though the vibe maybe isn't as different as we make it seem. But it does feel different with the youth movement down there with the Jaguars right now.
Yeah, you know, so Tony Baselli called a meeting last week. You probably heard about it. And it was Liam talking to his coaches and the football operations people, the equipment team, the video team, the medical training team, all of them, public relations, and they invited the production team to come in. And it was the first time I had been in that sort of a meeting since the early days, 94 and 95, before the entire thing was built out. And ironically, it felt like 94 and 95 again to listen to Liam lay out the plan. Not to say that other coaches through the years haven't had a good plan, but there was an energy about it that got me excited. And I texted Tony after, and I said, you're on to something. It feels like the early days again, and why shouldn't it? There was such purpose back in those days about getting off to a good start, about the name of the Jaguars in the National Football League. And longtime observers will remember that all of the media attention was up in Charlotte with Carolina, and we were sort of the other expansion team. So it felt like we had to get off to a great start, and everybody had to be on the same page and a great purpose. It felt that way to listen to Liam talk and to lay out his vision for the way that they were going to play, the way that they were going to work. And I was just blown away, but I left going, wow. And I'm not, I'm not deep in it. I'm not, in the meetings, and I'm not in those hallways back where the coaches are. So that was really my first big taste of it. And I really enjoyed it. I'm an optimist. I'm a half full, glass half full guy anyway, but I really have a good feeling about the way that the three principals, Liam Cohen, James Gladstone, and Tony Baselli, are working together on the vision of what this is going to be.
Brian Sexton, Jaguars.com. You know, one of the interesting things Baselli said in the hunt was talking about when he was here in 1995, and that's kind of the reason he wanted to be the EVP now, getting basically a blank canvas on the ground floor. He referred to it as ground I'll refer to it as ground zero, although that's maybe not exactly what Tony referred to it as. But the point was there were a lot of similarities. There's not a lot of people, Brian, in that building now that were here in 1995. Baselli was one. You are also one of them. Do you sense similarities like Tony does?
No, I absolutely do. And I'll go back to the word that I used just a moment ago, and that is purpose. There was so much that needed to be done in 1995. And, of course, it isn't quite to that level because everything is built in terms of the facilities. Back then, we were operating out of trailers. Everything was sort of half-built, which meant that you had to work around things. The first time I ever met Tony, I was running to the weight room, and I needed someone to tell me where it was, dodging forklifts and crates in 1995 to do an interview with him and Angie. And, I mean, it was just that was a different era. But there is that sense of purpose. They've changed, right? You've heard me say this is now the hedge fund generation of coaches, the young, analytical, data-driven, courageous, not afraid to make mistake guys. And that feels, completely different. It's always felt like, and for old guys like me who've been around, hey, this is how we do it in the NFL. This is the standard. There were some deviations from franchise to franchise, but there was a way that football people did it. That's not the story anymore. Now they're breaking paradigms, pushing envelopes. You probably heard they didn't do any of the 30 visits, right? Where you can bring in 30 prospects because they don't see the value in it relative to other elements and metrics that are concerning to them. They just do things differently. And maybe because the results have been mixed or below mixed for so long, that's the refreshing part about it. I was excited about Doug when he came in because Doug brought a championship pedigree. He had won a championship as a player. He had won a championship as a coach. And I was very optimistic about that. But he was still working from the old paradigms. This thing feels like it was swept clean.
And you talk about being swept clean, that gets us to the roster construction. Obviously, there'll be a cherry on top next week with those 10 draft picks, but I haven't talked to you, I don't believe, since right around free agency. You think about all the guys that are gone, right? All the guys that came in. They're the only team in the league that didn't re-sign any of their own, and they obviously released the likes of Ingram and Darby and Duvernay, and they bring in 10 outside free agents. I mean, Brian, there was a ton of movement player personnel-wise this offseason.
Well, as we just talked about, they're changing everything. And so the norms of, we brought this guy in last year to do this. Well, everything's different. So we don't need him anymore because we don't do that anymore without being specific to any one player. It just changed so dramatically. And for all the people who were so hypercritical of Shad Khan when he didn't instantly clean things out, well, he did clean everything out. And he has given them the means, right, the blank checkbook to go out and take their vision and implement it fully. Not every owner does that. He brings them in and he works them through the process, right? But doesn't just untether them and say, go get it done. He has given them the tools, the resources, financial and otherwise, to be able to implement their program. And so they did. They didn't spend time trying to recycle guys to save money against the cap. In fact, I think they've got the third or fourth biggest dead cap charge this year because they are moving on. And they went out and found, I don't want to say bargains, but they went out and found guys that met their criteria as people, as leaders, as players that fit a certain price criteria as well. And they feel real good. You heard them all say, we've raised the floor. So they believe that the moves they made, the only detriment right now is that it constricted some of their cap. But they still have plenty of money. If you look at their salary cap, they can go do things. They're not so up against it like a New Orleans, right? That they can maneuver and make changes to the roster in the fall. They're set up very, very well.
Final moments with Brian Sexton. Brian, I know in years past I've had you on before the draft, and like the same guy was getting mocked to Jacksonville over and over and over. And I got to thinking, all right, it's too obvious. Something's up here. And then ultimately that guy is not selected by the Jaguars. And you kind of have that same vibe with Mason Graham, except this year, Brian, to me, That just seems like too good a fit. Position need. You look at what Gladstone did with the drafts in L.A. with Les Snead on the D-line. Boy, if Mason Graham is there at 5, it's hard to think he wouldn't be a Jaguar, is it not?
Well, listen, you can make the case for it, especially with the 2 premier pass rushers you have on the outside. And quarterbacks are always able to avoid them by stepping up into the pocket. There hasn't been pressure. But, let me take a different tact. They drafted Mason Smith, and they drafted Jefferson from LSU last year. And these are talented young guys. There's no denying that. So they might not see the need factor that you or the outside mock drafters do. It's a good draft for defensive tackles. You can find guys who can play into round 3. I'm going to tell you that if it's me, and I think they're thinking I don't want to say they're thinking like me, but I think when you look at the touchdown production, Kirk is gone, Ingram's gone. Where are the touchdowns coming from? You have guys that are going to be sitting there, Ashton Genty, who I have heard comparisons to LaDainian Tomlinson on the high end and Christian McCaffrey on the low end. That's a great range, right? That's an amazing range. He's a touchdown maker. And don't forget that last year it was the running game that sparked that Buccaneers offense and got Baker Mayfield to play the best football of his career with this offensive coordinator. So maybe it's Ashton Genty if he's sitting there. I love Tyler Warren. I mean, the guy's got the length of Gronkowski and the ability, the multifaceted talent of a Travis Kelce. I'm not trying to say he is that good, but I loved watching the USC Penn State game and all the different ways that Andy Kotelnicki, their great offensive coordinator, used Tyler Warren. Maybe one of the receivers. Maybe they back up. I get it. Mason Graham. Mason Smith, both defensive tackles. I get them confused. It makes sense. But mock drafters look at teams and they try to pair teams with need and players. They don't know who they like. That's the really interesting part. Because the Jaguars aren't telling people, hey, we like him. We don't love him. We like this guy. So teams are just trying to pair up. Mock drafters are trying to pair up teams with need and fit. And that's a need and that's a fit. But it doesn't mean they love him, and it doesn't mean that's who they're going to pick. So I would say at this point, because it's new with Gladstone and Cohen and Baselli, all bets are off.
Oh, it's a good point.
All bets are off.
It's a good point you made with Genty and Warren. I would even lump Jalen Walker potentially into the mix because Gladstone always talks about the intangibles. Well, you talk to anybody in Athens, Georgia, and Jalen Walker apparently has unbelievable intangibles as a leader on the football field. Brian, final question. I mean, you look at this Jaguar football team from where they ended the season on January 6th to where they are now, obviously a draft class to come. Do you feel that they've gotten better? I mean, is this a better unit? I guess you have to lump the staff there too, right? New GM, new coaching staff. Are the Jaguars in a better place now than they were at the end of the season?
That's a great question. It's so hard to measure the progress, right? Because we can measure it on paper, but we did that last year, and we had playoff expectations, and they didn't play out. I want to say yes, but I realize that's an emotional response from me. I was at the Baselli Foundation last evening, and earlier today I was around a lot of the coaches, so I feel good about what I'm hearing from them. It's an emotional response from me right now. It's not a factual one. I think they are, but I can't prove that. People who are so ready to see change probably feel that way, but it's emotional. It's not factual. All of this comes back to the quarterback, right? We can talk about the draft and free agency and the coaching staff, but it's Liam Cohen and Grant Uzinski. It's the offensive staff. It's their ability to get the most out of the franchise quarterback. If they have a plan, if the footwork drills they're working, if Trevor's healthy and they get the most out of him, then yes, 100%, absolutely. I just haven't seen it. Neither have you, and we're not going to know until we get into training camp in the preseason, maybe not to the regular season. But emotionally, man, I feel real good about what I'm seeing and hearing.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And they're going to add probably 10 or more guys next week. You will be up in Green Bay, Jaguars.com. Brian, tell us about the coverage you guys will have next week.
Well, listen, I mean, we will be wall-to-wall when the Jaguars are on the clock. We're restricted more than we ever have been in terms of how often we can be on the air because we have to protect NFL Network and ESPN's coverage somewhat. But when they're on the clock, we will have all the stories. And afterwards, we'll hear from the coach. We'll hear from the general manager. Hopefully, we'll hear from Tony Boselli. We'll have an interview that I hope to do with the player. You know, players don't go to the draft like they all used to. So I can be in Green Bay and the Jaguars can take a player who's not there, but we'll get coverage on the radio and on our internet coverage over the phone. So no one will tell the Jaguars story better than our coverage, which of course includes 1010XL.
Brian Sexton, Jaguars.com. Brian, I know you're busy. Thank you for taking time out. We'll talk to you soon, my friend.
Always, Ryan. Happy to help.
There you go. Brian Sexton, Jaguars.com with us here on Hacker After Dark. And he laid out some interesting theories. The Ashton Genty one was interesting to me. Again, you know, do you take a running back that high? I mean, the last one the Jaguars took that high was Leonard Fournette. Probably didn't warrant the 4th pick, although Fournette had a pretty good couple of years here. You know, Bijan Robinson was a top 10 pick. Has he been worth it in Atlanta? Was Saquon Barkley worth a top 10 pick with the New York Giants? I mean, most of the guys that have been drafted in the top 10 at running back, at least in the last decade, have been good players. I wouldn't call them great. Barkley was great in Philadelphia, not with the team that drafted him in New York. There was a time where you took Kajana Carter or Curtis Enos or a lot of these other guys, you know, early in the draft, that they just flamed out completely. They were total busts in the top 5, top 10. And I think that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way about drafting running backs that high. Well, again, Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley, you know, guys of that sort. Christian McCaffrey was a top 10 pick for Carolina. You know, Fournette was the worst of those picks. So normally running backs do work out to an extent when they're drafted that high. Jalen Walker, we talk about the intangibles that James Gladstone likes. Obviously, there's a lot of Tyler Warren sentiment. I got one on the text line during that interview that somebody wants Tyler Warren. Again, I would not go Tyler Warren, but I hear you. Because you take away Ingram's touchdowns, you take away Christian Kirk's touchdowns. Outside of Brian Thomas Jr., who's going to be the touchdown maker here in Jacksonville? Is it Tank Bigsby? Is it ETN? Is it Gabe Davis and Brenton Strange? I don't know. So I think that opens up some ideas. Mason Graham makes all the sense in the world as well. Interior D-line appears to be a position of need, but I thought Sexton said it pretty well there. Well, they have Mason Smith, and they have Jordan Jefferson, and they have Devon Hamilton, and they have Eric Armstead, and they have Tyler Lacey. We have no idea what they think of these guys. We have no idea because Gladstone's new, Cohen's new, the staff is new. We don't have a clue what they think of these guys. They may think they're good in the interior D-line. They may be chuckling behind closed doors at all the Mason Graham talk. Who knows? We'll find out in 10 days. Maybe we'll find out tomorrow. The Jaguars are holding their annual pre-draft luncheon. I have no doubt that I will get all the information from you guys, from James Gladstone and Liam Cohen tomorrow. No matter what they tell me, we'll report back on it here on Hacker After Dark. I'll be at the Miller Electric Center looking forward to it. And we will tell you everything and let you hear everything that both Gladstone and Cohen have to tell us tomorrow at that annual pre-draft media luncheon. More Jaguar talk coming up in just a moment. Coming up next, what a weekend in college football, and it's April. The Gators wrapped up spring practice. There was some DJ Lagway news. Boy, Dallas Wilson, have a game, young man, in the Orange and Blue Showcase. And the Nico fallout in Knoxville continues. What does it mean for Tennessee? What does it mean for the SEC? What does it mean for NIL moving forward? One of my favorites, Connor O'Gara, SaturdayDownSouth.com, joins me next on a Monday night here in Northeast Florida. We're glad you're with us. Hacker After Dark till 10 o'clock right here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
1010XL. Home of the Florida Gators.
plumbing problem? AC not blowing cool? Septic tank backing up? No need to call 3 different companies. Just call Rooter. At Rooter, we do it all. Plumbing, septic, and air conditioning with expert technicians in each department. One company, one call, one easy bill. No hassle, no runaround, just fast professional service from highly skilled techs who know their stuff. Need help? Call 904-862-6769 today and let Rooter handle it all. DuckDuckRooter.com.
Sweetie, come here. Don't worry. I see a lot of patients with the exact same thing.
Ever since the ice skating rink went in next door?
Or is it more than
Dr. Clark's business is heating up.
So many patients need my help. How will I find time to see all of them?
They need to hire a scheduler, stat.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Catch Gators baseball all season long on 1010XL. Pitched by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. And Renewal by Anderson, the official window and door replacement partner of the Florida Gators.
At the First Coast YMCA, you'll find much more than just a gym. We offer many ways to help you become more active, reach your weight loss goals, and find your inner strength. Membership at the Y includes state-of-the-art facilities, a huge variety of fitness classes, and programs for all ages. It's easy to join the Y since it's affordable for all incomes. The Y is a great place to make connections and experience something new. Visit the YMCA near you or online at fcymca.org.
Grinding out good grades can be just as challenging as winning games. That's why 1010XL salutes the Scholar Athlete of the Week.
Brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists and the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Local Union 234. Wednesdays on The Frangie Show. Here's your 1010XL community calendar of local events and nonprofit groups helping people here at home.
You can help Micah's Place support domestic violence victims by playing in the Par for a Purpose golf tournament June 20th at the stunning Golf Club of Amelia Island. Register at micahsplace.org/golf.
City Rescue Mission provides life-changing support for the homeless. Find ways to get involved at crmjax.org.
If you could benefit from a grief and loss support group, call Haven Hospice at 279-1677.
You have healing power. Even writing a letter or volunteering can help heal a veteran. Find out more at healvets.org.
The Hometown for Heroes Home Buyers Program helps you get your down payment and closing costs paid. Call to learn more. 574-7180.
You can find out how to share your community event at 1010XL.com.
Brian and Angela Wall here with Window World. You've heard us talk about it. Window World, the #1 window replacement company in the USA, selling over 1 million windows each year for the past 8 years.
That's a lot of satisfied customers and why J.D. Powers has awarded Window World Best in Customer Satisfaction 3 out of 4 years.
Window World stands behind their slogan, simply the best for less. With Window World, you get top quality windows at a price that leaves more of your money in your bank account, and you get the absolute best guarantee there is in the window replacement industry. When compared to our competition, there is none. See for yourself. Call the competition. Get quotes from them. But before you buy, get Window World's free estimate and compare the quality of the windows and the price.
You'll see.
And when your new Window World windows are installed and they're saving you money on your energy bills, if anything goes wrong with those windows, Window World and I will be there to make it right. That's my guarantee.
Call Window World today. Start saving money on your new windows and your energy bills and take vacation with your savings. Window World, online at windowworldneflorida.com.
Window World, simply the best for less. Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors and siding.
Hey, I've got that craving again. How about some Mr. Chubby's wings?
Have you had the Chubby style wings? Grilled to perfection with Chubby's secret seasoning.
You know I have. They are so delicious. I swear you can't find anywhere in town with better wings and better prices on drinks.
So many different specials each night, too. Well, I'm ready to chub it up again.
Me too.
See all their specials at MrChubby'sWings.com. Locations on Fleming Island, the West Side, and now Ponte Vedra Beach. Mr. Chubby's Wings. Before the game, after the game, and during the game.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The Florida Gators wrapped up spring practice over the weekend with the orange and blue game. I guess the good news that came out of there is it was announced that DJ Lagway will start throwing again in a couple of weeks. That will hopefully put a lot of those rumors to bed with that shoulder issue or whatever it has been that has limited him in spring practice. I certainly want to talk about the Gators, but the big story in the SEC and really the biggest story in college athletics is the Nico saga in Knoxville that I guess has come to an end with Tennessee now looking for a brand new starting quarterback. Let's talk about all of it with Connor O'Gara, Saturday Down South, always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Connor, I trust your offseason is going well, man. How are you?
Ryan, doing well. Look, I can't sit here and pretend that I've gone back to Saturday Down South and asked to be paid $4 million per year, but we're doing well. Can't complain.
What a crazy story! And look, we had Jimmy Himes on our radio station on Friday, and when he announced that, in his opinion, he thought Nico was gone. Boy, that really caught me off guard because until that point, at least here in Jacksonville, yeah, we knew about the Nico story, but we didn't know it had gotten to that point. And then, bam, lo and behold, Saturday morning, it was announced that he's going to enter the portal. I mean, what do you make of this situation?
It's truly wild because I thought that Tennessee and Nico would come to some sort of agreement and we would see maybe not that $4 million figure reached, but some sort of incentive-based deal. And both parties would have been able to coexist. And instead, you had a team basically put its foot into the dirt and say, no, we're not going past this line. And that was the talk going into this entire era of college sports was, would teams be willing to push back and show what market value truly is? Now, it's ironic that Tennessee literally went to court for the recruitment of Nico and said to the NCAA, you didn't have the grounds to enforce these NIL rules. We're going to pay him what we want to pay him. And then here we are a few years later, and it turns out that Tennessee didn't want to pay him that unlimited amount. So it's ironic when you consider all that. It's amazing to think about what Tennessee did, knowing that they only have 9 career FBS pass attempts behind him. It's not like they have some quarterback waiting in the wings that's chomping at the bit to be the starter. They're going to have to recruit a guy in the post-spring window. And ultimately, Tennessee's probably looking at a downgrade at the quarterback position. But to pay a guy that's not considered one of the top 5 returning quarterbacks in the SEC $4 million a year, ultimately, they decided it wasn't worth it. And I can't say I blame them.
Connor O'Gara of Saturday Down South. Just a little backstory. I assume most people know, but for those that don't, it was reported that Nico, the quarterback in Tennessee, there with the Volunteers, was getting anywhere between $2.2 and $2.5 million in NIL in a 3-year contract, if you will. Reportedly, Nico's reps, by reps I mean reportedly his father, went to Tennessee and said, yeah, this isn't exactly working for us. We want upwards of $4 million. Tennessee said, no, I don't think so. So we basically had a holdout situation in college, and Nico has now decided to enter the transfer portal effective this week. I thought all eyes, Connor, were going to be on this, from star players to all the big schools around the country, to see how it played out. Because if Tennessee buckled here, I mean, that would have opened up the floodgates, would it not?
It would have. It absolutely would have. And I can guarantee you there are a lot of other schools who are going, oh, thank goodness Tennessee did not just give this guy all this money. Now, there's the other side of it, which is, I can't remember who it was that reported this, but that quarterbacks that have Tennessee reaching out to them are now getting a pay increase. So it kind of works in both ways. Ultimately, in the NIL era, someone's getting paid. It's just, what does it look like? But yeah, I mean, you had to stand up for the market. And that's what's going to be really interesting to see with what Tennessee does moving forward is, are they going to kind of shy away from this because they've got the number 1 recruit in the 2026 class lined up at the quarterback position, and you're going to have to figure out what's it going to look like moving forward. Are there lessons to be learned from this? And is Tennessee going to go into the portal and maybe try and get somewhat of a cheap option for 2025? Because that's going to be the big question is, what is this team going to look like? And are they going to actually be able to find something that works in a quarterback-friendly system, but one that is not necessarily easy for a quarterback to master from the jump? That's, I think, going to be what all eyes are going to be on. And this breakup, it will be fascinating, and it's something that we're going to be talking about, I think, for a long time.
Connor, it's an absolute free-for-all right now with NIL and the portal and everything. And look, I was all for players getting paid too, right? I thought that, schools made millions and millions of dollars year after year, and that that athletes should receive their fair share of that because of how much money they brought in the university. But even I'm starting to look at this, $4 million for this guy, $3 million for that guy. We actually have holdouts now in college football. You can transfer as many times as you want with really no ramifications. I mean, there's got to be some regulation on some of this stuff at some point, does there not?
Yeah, there will be. I think there will be, but ask yourself this. You talk NFL a lot. You talk about holdouts in the NFL all the time. That stuff still exists. And even if there is more regulation of what's against the rules and what's not, and if there are actual contracts in place, there are still going to be outside factors that are going to impact this. As long as there's that much money to be gained, there is still going to be someone somewhere that is leveraging to get more of it. And that's what I believe to be the case. I think this is still going to be considered a cautionary tale, and a lot of people will rightfully point to the lack of structure as to what kind of got us to this place. But at the same time, I do think that even in a new world that could have more regulation, we will still see cases like this with holdouts. Maybe it won't always be at quarterback, what's the most important position, the position that can lose a locker room if it does the wrong thing, like skip a practice and then not be able to be contacted by anybody on the team. But you're still going to have these situations because the money is too great and there's still too much of it to be earned.
Couple more for Connor O'Gara of Saturday Down South. Let's bring it closer to home to Gainesville. The Gators wrapped up their spring practice on Saturday. As you can imagine, everybody in Northeast Florida is still on, cloud nine from the basketball team. Quickly, I didn't talk to you during that run. What did you make of Todd Golden, what the basketball team was able to accomplish?
What a remarkable run. One of the most battle-tested runs ever to get through an SEC that deep. Everybody talked about how many teams they had in the NCAA tournament and all that, but the fact that they were a 1 seed that had basically the most difficult road you could have, especially if you consider Texas Tech to be a better team than St. John's, and they still were able to find a way after falling behind in all these games and come out and win. We'll talk about the resiliency of Florida for a really long time, as we should. It really is one of the all-time great postseason runs. And I think what Walter Clayton Jr. did, one up to the Kemba Walker run of 2011. Maybe I'll get some pushback on that because the national championship game itself wasn't a vintage Walter Clayton Jr. performance, but I'd still put it up there and say that it was a generational run. He had more help around him, but I did not have Florida looking this good coming into the season. And by the end, I argue that going into the NCAA tournament, I think they should be the favorites ahead of Auburn, ahead of Duke, and they were able to kind of hold up their end of the bargain. But yeah, finally the SEC drought is over. First national championship for an SEC team since 2012, and it feels like we're entering a very new era of SEC hoops.
You won't get any pushback on the Walter Clayton thought in this market, and I can assure you of that. People loved what he did here in the city of Jacksonville. I'm going to end with the Gators, but a broad topic because we're on it. It just means more on the gridiron, yet they have not won a national title in football in a couple of years, whereas you look at basketball, and they might have had the best conference in a single season in decades in college basketball. Does that put any added pressure on the football programs in the conference to kind of reclaim, what they've lost the last few seasons?
I don't think so, but I do think that gap is closer than it's ever been, ever. Now, I still think it would take 20 years for the SEC to be known as a basketball first conference ahead of football. And I'm not trying to diminish other sports. Lord knows they've dominated things like women's basketball and baseball, and they've had so much success in gymnastics and others. So I'm not trying to diminish that, but just in terms of what's the priority, is the SEC becoming, what the Big East was at times, or even the ACC. I think we're a long ways off from getting to that place. I do think, though, that there is that angst amongst SEC football programs who are not used to enduring a 2-year stretch without appearing in a national championship game, something that hasn't happened in 2 decades. And I do think that it does feel like a critical time for SEC football to kind of show, hey, look, we're still the premier conference in the sport, despite the fact that the Big Ten obviously has been able to claim the last 2 national championships after so many years of feeling like they were that good but not great conference. But yeah, I mean, there'll be no shortage of spending that reflects that sense of urgency. maybe beginning with that post-spring window.
Connor O'Gara, Saturday Down South. Let's end with Florida. I imagine in April of last year when you and I talked, probably neither one of us thought Billy Napier was going to be there in April of 2025, yet here we are. A lot of pressure on Napier coming into the year again, Connor. A very tough schedule again, certainly. But on paper, it looks like, at least what we can read into it, that this roster appears to be pretty solid.
Should be, as long as DJ Lagway has a shoulder and is capable of throwing. That I think this Florida team should pick up right where it left off. I really do. Because Trey Wilson, that's the other guy, too, that people are going to kind of forget about in this offseason, who should step in and be a number one receiver and be a go-to guy for DJ Lagway. That feels like it's going to be a huge addition. I still expect them to be pretty active in the post-spring window here. But look, Florida's defense finally figured it out down the stretch. They had the best 6-game stretch that they've had in the 2020s decade. That includes the Kyle Trask team with that doormat of a defense they had that year, when we all know that it was kind of the beginning of the end of the Todd Grantham era. But this does feel like a team that has turned the corner. Now, that doesn't guarantee success, especially with a schedule that still projects to be extremely difficult, even if it's not historically difficult. But yeah, I mean, they have so many more strengths going into this year. One of the best offensive lines in all of college football, one of the best young backs in Jaden Ball. Like, this is a Florida team that, with Lagway at the center of it, feels like it has a much different ceiling, because he doesn't necessarily put pressure on the coaching staff to put up this elite scheme week in, week out, and he can kind of cover up some holes for you. So I do think that Florida's in just a much better spot. And you know what? Credit Billy Napier. I don't know if he's going to be a great play caller this year, but I do think that he's done a great job of weathering the storm.
Yeah, to me, when they got Caleb Banks, Tyreek Sapp, Austin Barber, and Jake Slaughter to all come back, 2 O linemen, 2 D linemen, I mean, those are 4 guys that would have probably been drafted up in Green Bay next week that are back on the Gator football team. That was huge for this offseason for Billy Napier. Connor, final thought. We know Napier's still on a hot seat. I would imagine Sam Pittman and Fayetteville still on a hot seat. Are there any other hot seats coming into the 2025 season in the conference?
I think Hugh Freeze has the hottest seat in college football.
Yeah.
That might be unpopular, but I just think the lack of progress last year was so maddening. When, what does he really have to blame? Well, he has his quarterback decision to blame for that. And they kept turning the football over, and they did not field an offense that was capable of taking that next step. And that's going to be really frustrating to look back on, considering Jarquez Hunter was one of the SEC's best running backs. And you had a defense that was actually better than what the numbers probably told you that they were. But you had all these fourth quarter moments in which you just collapsed. And so I think Hugh Freeze, even though he replaced Brian Harsin and seemingly had a long leash, I think he's entering year 3 in a place where he's got to get to that 8-win mark. And if he doesn't, there are going to be people on the plains that go, what are we doing? We have to start over again for the 3rd time in the 2020s. I mean, that would be a really, really tough pill to swallow, but they're going to have to improve. They just have to, especially with what could be their most talented receiver group that they've ever had there. And if this is another situation where a transfer quarterback comes in and it just doesn't look really good with Jackson Arnold, that's going to be a tough thing to endure for Hugh Freeze. So I'd say he's got the hottest seat of anyone. And then Brent Venables at Oklahoma, he's another one that if he doesn't make those big strides this year, they're going to pay a historic buyout. They will absolutely do it if this is another year where the offense just doesn't match up to what they've done in years past. It doesn't have to be Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield levels of dominant, but gosh, they at least need to be respectable after they were a total doormat last year. So I think those are the 2 that definitely come to mind that everybody's going to have their eye on the SEC.
Connor, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville, man, Saturday Down South and what you guys will have coming out in the coming days and weeks.
Yeah, appreciate that. We've got a lot of coverage related to the portal. We're still talking about all things Nico. I've got something coming out tomorrow about the floor for the Tennessee offense. It feels like we're going to see it this upcoming year, including a little scenario I threw out for possibilities of what Tennessee can do at the quarterback position in the portal window. But yeah, there's just a lot to talk about in college sports right now, despite the fact that we're kind of wrapping up spring. It's been a really quiet spring with SEC football, but lots and lots of stuff going on right now. There's just always something in this business, man, as you know.
Connor O'Gara of Saturday Down South. Connor, I know you're busy. Thank you for taking time out, man. We'll talk again soon, pal.
Absolutely. Really appreciate it, man.
There's more than one way to live forever. Gents, I give you the fountain of youth.
1010 XL.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. You know, I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation, light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to CarlsonDentalGroup.com. That's CarlsonDentalGroup.com for all of your dental needs.
So, you finally have some time to yourself. Even if it is just the car ride home, it's you time. And look at you. Do not disturb set before you even got in the car? Impressive. You've earned this moment to just chill and drive. This break is brought to you by Target Zero and the Florida Department of Transportation.
Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
I'm just going to cut to the chase. What you really want to know is, why buy from Arlington Toyota? Mia here. How about over 800 vehicles, one lot, 60-day exchange, and friendly credit for everyone. Plus, right now, you choose a pre-owned 2022 Camry, RAV4, or Tacoma for $0 down and only $388 per month. Or how about no payments till August 2025? Shop in person on Atlantic Boulevard, just a quarter mile east of 295, or online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
With so many competitive pest services in town, you might wonder why Kingfish Pest Control's business is booming while similar companies seem to be struggling. It all comes down to service, affordability, and effectiveness. Kingfish Pest Control is a local family-owned company who delivers on their promises to effectively control pests like ants, spiders, roaches, termites, mosquitoes, and more. Your home is their priority, so call today and discover why your neighbors and your buddy Hayes Carlion trust Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jaguars.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
This is Mike Lynch, PGA golf professional. Take it from me. If you're dealing with an orthopedic issue, talk to the doctors at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, where you're treated like a pro.
This is Dr. Kevin Murphy with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, where athletes are treated like pros. Thanks to all of you who have allowed us to be part of your recovery. Call us at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists if you ever have a need.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
New and pre-owned firearms are in stock at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach. Want a new sidearm or rifle? Brands like Kimber, Smith & Wesson, 6 Hour, Beretta. No lines, no hassle. Only at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
Hey guys, it's that time of year again. The home team is looking for new players on the field, and you're looking to get that old car or truck out of your driveway. I can help. This is John Johnson over at First Coast Recycling. We buy junk cars. Draft us to buy your old car or truck for fast cash. Just call 904-294-1659 for a quick and easy quote from First Coast Recyclers. Come on, let's take your driveway back.
It's heating up at Ride Now Jacksonville. Get water adventure ready with the 2024 Yamaha AR195 boat. With its supercharged engine, innovative design, and water sports features, the Yamaha AR195 is ready for anything you throw at it. Originally $46,000, now just $36,000. Oversized in-floor storage for wakeboards and extra gear. Deck and hull design that maximizes space, comfort, and versatility like no other 19-foot boat. Ride Now Jacksonville on Blanding Boulevard. We'll meet or beat any price on all 2024 and prior models.
St. Johns County parents, does your kid have energy to burn? Want them to play a sport for their middle school? Sign up today for the St. John's Middle School Athletic Association. Tackle football, dance, and cheerleading. Who doesn't want their kid to be the next NFL quarterback or dance floor diva? You know how fast your kid can go from playing Xbox to practicing their touchdown dance or sideline cheer? Visit sjmsaa.org. sjmsaa.org.
A chipped windshield can turn into a big problem fast.
Lauren Brooks here. Trust Novus Glass of Jacksonville for expert repair and replacement. Call 904-289-2905 for Novus Glass in Orange Park. 904-289-2905.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Just past halftime on Hacker After Dark. 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. We'll take you up till 10 o'clock as we do every night right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Coming up in less than 15 minutes, my buddy Sean Devaney, Heavy.com. He's covered the NBA for a long time. I've had Sean on for years talking NBA. The NBA postseason gets underway tomorrow. The Orlando Magic, the first game out of the gate, they play Atlanta in the 7-8, and it's a weird setup. I'll try to be as quick as I can to explain it. So Orlando and Atlanta play tomorrow night. The winner of that game is the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference playoffs. Will play Boston beginning on Sunday in a best of 7. Right? Simple, plain as day. Winner of Orlando-Atlanta gets the 7th seed. The loser of Orlando-Atlanta will then play on Friday against the winner of Chicago and Miami, which is the 9-10 matchup that takes place on Wednesday night. Chicago-Miami is a do-or-die game. It's win or go home. Winner's season continues. Loser's season is over. The winner of that game plays the loser of Orlando-Atlanta for the 8th spot. Western Conference has the same deal. And in fact, in the West, Golden State is in the play-in. How about that? You got Golden State and Memphis tomorrow night. You got Steph Curry versus Ja Morant in a play-in game. That's how good the Western Conference has been. So the play-in part gets underway tomorrow, goes into Wednesday, and finishes out on Friday. And then the playoffs as a whole will begin Saturday and Sunday in the NBA. Also, Rory McIlroy winning the Masters. What an emotional scene. What a epic collapse and then epic playoff hole that McIlroy put together. It had all the emotions built into about 90 minutes of unbelievable drama. Gary Smits of the Florida Times-Union and Jacksonville.com will join me to recap Rory's win, what it means to achieve the career Grand Slam, what it means for Rory to finally win at Augusta, where this kind of puts Rory on the all-time pedestal of great golfers that have ever played, and what 2025 could potentially have in store for Rory now that he already has a Players and a Masters under his belt. PGA, of course, takes place next month, then the U.S. Open, and then finally, the Open Championship, or as you and I refer to it, the British Open. Dylan Denmark, I know the golf fan you are. I know you were locked into the Masters. Boy, the genuine raw emotion of Rory McIlroy yesterday, that was something.
Yeah, I think the last time we've seen drama like that of raw emotion was when Tiger won in 2019.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anything close to that since then. I'm a casual golfer, me and JJ and, a couple others, we'll put together a pool, put together, a couple bucks here and there and root for a couple golfers that we think are going to, have a good low score. Cam Smith was one of my guys, so I was heavily invested until he shot 6 over on the back 9 Friday, and then that was that.
Right.
But Saturday I got a chance to see the back 9, and then Sunday I was all eyes. I got out golfing Sunday morning, got finished right before the leaders teed off, and it was, Rory doubles that first hole, and you're like, there's no way that this is going to happen. And then he's trailing early. Then he leads by a couple strokes heading into the back 9, and then it's tied. And then he needs a par, gets a bogey, and then somehow wins the playoff. That was as best television as you can get. And, yeah, it was the best TV ratings that they've had since 2018. Pretty good day for golf fans everywhere.
Well, and sandwiched in the middle of all that, and you're right, but sandwiched in the middle was that shot on 13. That's the worst shot I think I've ever seen Rory McIlroy play.
Yeah, I saw Scott Van Pelt. He said, you play one way. And, you can do this with all sports, but golfers, you play to win, and you're usually aggressive and you attack.
And then there, you kind of like, you played conservative and you went for a layup. And that's just not how you win tournaments, man. Like, Tiger never did that kind of stuff. You know, you can go through any of the pros that have won multiple majors. They don't do those kind of things. And sometimes, you know, as many physical traits as, you know, how many incredible shots Rory hit, it's very mental for a lot of holes, and, you know, sometimes it just gets in your head.
And for people that didn't see it, I mean, he crushed his drive and was looking awesome at 13, and he had like 86 yards to the green. 86 yards to these guys is like shooting fish in a barrel. And he just chunked it, and it went into the ditch, into the water. It was like an unbelievable mishit for a PGA Tour professional and a Hall of Famer. Obviously, I mean, that's something that you and I would do when we were, you know, hacking it around this weekend, which I certainly did a lot of on Saturday. Boy, quickly there. I had the Masters itch. My buddies did. First time I played golf in 3 years. Denmark, I'm getting limber. I'm getting ready to go on the first tee. We started on the back nine, so on the 10th tee was our first hole. And I get my 20-year-old 5-wood out that I haven't swung in 3+ years. And I'm envisioning just whacking this thing, you know, 220, 30, 40 yards down the fairway. And I rear back and take a big swing, first swing in years. And I'm looking for it, and I don't see it. It's because it didn't go anywhere, Denmark. It was right there at my feet the entire time. It was a swing and a miss for strike one on the opening tee. Not the way you want to start a round of golf, ladies and gentlemen. But the fellowship was good. The cigar was tasty. The refreshments were cold. So from that standpoint, I had a great time. But don't go 3 years between playing golf, because you will lose any shroud of goodness you had in the game, of joy you took away from the game. I did make a 6-foot putt, Denmark. That's what the game of golf does to you, man. You make one putt, and it'll bring you back the next time. I made a 6-foot putt towards the end of the round, and that made it kind of all worth it. Quickly, we're going to do a lot on the Jaguars this week. Obviously, that goes without saying. But the teams in front of Jacksonville, Tennessee, we know what they're doing with Cam Ward. Cleveland, it appears Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. New York, I would say they're going to take the one that Cleveland doesn't take, but then all of a sudden, reports coming out tonight that the Giants are flying to Boulder on Thursday for a private workout with Shedeur Sanders. What, if anything, Denmark, do you read into that?
I think they're just doing the rounds of, you know, getting all the guys that could potentially be available there. Best kept secret, according to Matt Miller a couple weeks ago, after they signed Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson, is that the Giants are, you know, the word on the street is the Giants are looking for a quarterback. He says that's not the case, that they could still look at Shedeur and taking him at number 3. I'm with you. I think Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter are going to go 2 and 3, and then the draft really starts at 4. Do the Patriots draft Genty, or do they go with a big offensive lineman, and then, you know, the dominoes fall from there?
See, and my thing is, I'm not even worried about Carter and Hunter getting to Jacksonville, because that's a pipe dream. That's not going to happen, even if Shedeur Sanders goes in the top 4, because I think the Patriots would take whoever Cleveland doesn't of Carter and Hunter. My thing is just Shedeur in general. If you're the Giants, there's really no need to do that. They're going to go out there a week before the draft, work him out individually, unless there's genuine interest there. I mean, that's not a smoke screen. You're not going to take all the resources, time, sending people out there, doing all of that, putting the event on, if you're not the least bit interested. So all this talk about the Giants are not interested in Shedeur, well, obviously they're interested. Now, will they draft him? That's a different question. But the interest has to be there because they're doing that individual workout 1 week before the draft. We'll certainly keep you updated on any events that warrant on that conversation. More on the NFL coming up in just a bit. Coming up next, though, as I mentioned, the NBA postseason begins tomorrow. What about the Lakers and Luka, right? What about Cleveland and Boston, Oklahoma City? Who are the favorites going into this thing? Can Orlando do anything if they get in to the playoffs? What about Miami? Let's do a deep dive into the NBA postseason. My buddy Sean Devaney, Heavy.com, has covered the league for years. He's one of my NBA guys here on Hacker After Dark, and he joins me next. Let's talk a little association with Sean Devaney on a Monday night here in Jacksonville, Florida, and we're glad you're with us. Hacker After Dark rolls on until 10 o'clock right here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
There's a reason why people love to listen to play-by-play on the radio.
This is unbelievable what we're witnessing. I'm serious.
1010XL, Jacksonville's home for play-by-play.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes. There was a time when if you handed me a bread basket at a restaurant, you better watch your fingers. Pizza, pasta, bread. Carbs were absolutely my weakness. I'd be lying if I said they didn't have me hooked. Then Awaken 180 came into my life. I've been down every diet road there is, but this is different. It's not just another diet. It's a total reset of how you see food. You know that carb craving that we all accepted as normal? That's gone for me now. Don't get me wrong. I still enjoy the good stuff, but here's the difference. I no longer feel like I need them. So when the server puts that bread basket on the table, I just smile, sit back, and say, nah, I'm good. That feeling of control is all thanks to Awaken 180. I lost 40 pounds in 9 weeks on Awaken 180. Hacker lost more than 110. Baloo is on his way, and you can lose whatever you want to lose. It doesn't matter what your goal weight is. Awaken 180 weight loss will get you there quickly and safely. It's a clear path to success without disappointment. Awaken 180 has changed my life, and it will change yours too. Give them a call at 844-346-1800 or go to awaken180weightloss.com. Trust me, you'll thank yourself.
I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick, we're a 4-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $40,000 a year and right now make over $90,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition or student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted to the program, your only cost for the books and the course fees. About $800 a year.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org and you can apply there.
Apply by May 15th.
Paying rent can feel like throwing money away. And when you're spending so much, it can be hard to see yourself buying a home. So Rocket Mortgage is helping you put your monthly rent towards home ownership with Rent Rewards. For the first time, save up to $5,000 off the cost of your first home just by paying rent. Only at Rocket Mortgage. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to find out more.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030.
Go inside your home team's locker room with Jags beat reporter Hayes Carline.
Check out my blog at 1010XL.com.
So you can catch all the news and nuggets you need to know.
My blog is brought to you by Roland Reach Plumbing,
where quality and experience count.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
This is your Mad Dad's Update with Chapter President Donald Ford. In our effort to curb crime, drugs, and violence during the summer months, we are offering Friday Night Lights. It has already started and will be going until school starts back. It is every Friday night from 6:30 to 9:30 at the Blacktop, 5732 Normandy Boulevard, and behind the Potter's House Christian Academy. We manage 3 basketball courts. You are not running on the cement. We have covering on each court. The Lakers, the Magic, and the Heat. Ages 15 to 40 years old. This will give them something to do other than selling drugs and getting into trouble. We have monitors there giving leadership. We have to wake up, stand up, and speak up. Hit me on Facebook and tell me what you think. Or MattDadJacksonville.com.
Are you thinking about a pool for your home? Blue Haven Pools is Jacksonville's largest pool builder. They've built pools for over 20,000 satisfied families since 2000. It's never been easier to design the perfect pool for your home, family, and budget. Call Blue Haven Pools today at 904-620-0090 to get a free in-home estimate for your in-ground pool, or visit bluehaven.com. Don't let another summer pass by without a pool. Join thousands of happy Jacksonville pool owners in a Blue Haven pool.
It's game time for your business, and Advanced Business Solutions has the winning play. With Xerox copiers, you'll never miss a deadline. Fast, reliable, and built for high performance, Xerox copiers keep your team ahead of the competition. From printing to scanning, Xerox brings the MVPs of efficiency to your office. Ready to make the winning move? Hire the champions at Advanced Business Solutions. Veteran owned.
Printers, copiers, and IT management. Advanced Business Solutions.
What is the busiest airport in the world?
Southern Oak Insurance is proud to continue offering coverage statewide. Financial stability makes Southern Oak Insurance a wise choice for your homeowner's insurance needs. Log on to southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
Hartsfield Jackson Atlanta International Airport is the busiest airport in the world, serving over 100 million passengers.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Beat the spring cleaning rush with big savings and priority booking by calling our heroes at Zero Res. This month, get Zero Resified from Jacksonville's #1 carpet cleaner. You'll get 25% off all cleaning services. That's right, 25% off. Check out 8,000 raving customer reviews if you don't believe me online. Call them, 904-287-5727, or visit their website, ZeroResJacksonville.com. Zero Res, spell it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. One of my favorite times of year, the NBA postseason officially gets underway tomorrow night. A couple of play-in games, including the Orlando Magic against the Atlanta Hawks. Certainly want to talk about that. And then the rest of the postseason will start this weekend on both Saturday and Sunday. Let's preview the NBA playoffs with my buddy Sean Devaney, Heavy.com. He's covered the NBA for years, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Sean, how you doing, man?
Doing well, Ryan. How are you?
Hey, Sean, we're good. Thank you for the time. And as a guy that's done this as long as you have, do you still get the excitement when it's postseason basketball?
Yeah, especially, man, the last week of the season was really something, whether it's Denver firing its coach, something that we just don't see in the league at this point, or, the big Warriors Clippers game on Sunday that held so much sway, and Anthony Edwards having to score 43 points to beat the Jazz to keep the Timberwolves in their spot. There's a lot of excitement here in the last few days. So kind of a good ramp up into the playoffs, if you ask me.
Sean, let's dive into Orlando. You and I haven't spoken over a month, and actually the Magic have played better in the last month. I mean, the way I'm rationalizing it is this, and tell me if I'm just trying to be ultra positive guy. I mean, they won 47 games last year and were reasonably healthy for the final 3 or 4 months. They were horrifically injured this year and still came out with 41 wins. I think all in all, that's not terrible amidst the circumstances.
Yeah, when you look at where they were in January or so, after those injuries really started to have a big impact, it looked like this was going to be a lost season for them to rally and to finish with just a few games in back of where they were last year when they were healthy. That's obviously a pretty big win for them. Obviously, they had higher expectations, but yeah, for them to be where they are, it's not that bad. At the same time, they bring in Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Obviously, they had higher expectations. They need more depth. You have to be able to withstand injuries in this league, and there's no question that there's more work to do in Orlando to kind of fill out that depth, so that if you lose some of the guys that they did, and obviously, look, I mean, you lose Wagner the way they did, you lose Banchero for the length of time they did, and Suggs. Any team is going to have a hard time. You lose, your top 3 players for significant stretches of the season. Still, you've got to be able to survive those, and they're just not deep enough right now to do that.
Sean Devaney, Heavy.com. Paolo Banchero, it took him a while after the injury to kind of get back to himself. But I got to tell you, Sean, in the last month, if there are 10 better players in the NBA than Paolo, I haven't seen him. He's been pretty good.
Yeah, and the defense has come back as well as a whole for the Magic. That was such a calling card for them last year, and to open this year, and then as the injuries settled in, everything got a little scattered, including their defense, which is where they hang their hat. But certainly over the last couple of months since the All-Star break, they have been one of the better defensive teams in the NBA, and that's what they're going to carry into the playoffs. Now, we'll see what happens with the play-in. Obviously they win and they get the Celtics, and that's great. I would almost rather lose and get the Cavaliers and replay last year in the playoffs. But obviously you don't want to take too many chances with that. But wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if they wind up losing that first game and wind up winning the second game and getting the Cavaliers in a rematch of what was a fantastic series last year.
Sean Devaney, Heavy.com. Final Orlando thought. Sean, I have no false hopes about beating Cleveland or Boston in a 7-game series. But what I will say is, and I'm curious your thoughts, they have 2 home games to win 1 to get into the playoffs. If they lose both of these play-in games at home, that's a disaster. If they get in, even if they get swept or even, just take 1 game in the series, at least they can rest their head knowing, despite all the injuries, we made the playoffs. So I think these next 2 play-in games are big for Orlando.
Yeah, and I agree. Like I say, I'd much rather get Cleveland if I were them. Just given the history and the way they played the last time that they faced Cleveland. I think there's a little bit of momentum there that they could sort of grab onto. But I agree with you. Like, you don't want to mess with it. If you've got a chance to win that first play-in game, then you go ahead and you beat Atlanta and you face the Celtics. And Orlando has certainly given the Celtics some fits over the last couple of years as well. So, you got to get in, and at this point for the Magic, that would be a win no matter what happens in that first round. But they've got to get there, no doubt.
Sean, when it comes to the Eastern Conference, obviously Cleveland and Boston. If there were to be a third team that could be a fly in the ointment, what team would that be?
Yeah, it's a pretty steep drop. The Knicks, as a 50-win team, with the changes that they made and the roster that they have, they should be that third team. I just don't think anybody's that scared of the Knicks in the playoffs. They've shown a distinct lack of toughness, and that's a problem in the playoffs. Obviously, their defense, surprisingly, despite adding Bridges, who's one of the better defensive players on the perimeter in the league, and of course they're bringing in Anunoby last year, and then you get Karl Anthony Towns, who's not a great big man defensive player, but is a very good help defender, shot blocker, things like that. Their defense has been terrible. So, it should be the Knicks. I just don't see them as that team, though. I think Indiana, a lot of people probably sleep on Indiana. They've been a much better team than they get credit for. And, if they can take out the Bucks, which I think they can, that's been a pretty good rivalry, sort of under the radar rivalry, Indiana-Milwaukee. I think Indiana's probably a team that nobody's really thinking about that could be pretty dangerous there in the Eastern Conference.
Sean, in the Western Conference, let's begin with the Lakers. With Luka now, are they good enough to win the conference?
Yeah, really, you can probably go 1 through 5 and say any of the teams in the top 5 are capable of winning the conference, including the Clippers at number 5, Denver at number 4. The top 2 teams, Oklahoma and Houston, just don't have the experience level, and until they prove it, then they're always going to have question marks. So really, you could go 1 through 5 and say any of those teams could, but the Lakers certainly could. What's been really surprising about them is that they've been a very good defensive team despite having such a huge hole in the middle of their rotation. They just basically, they don't have a center. Jackson Hayes has played pretty well, for 20 to 24 minutes a game. But other than that, they really don't have a center. And they've managed to play very, very well in that small ball setting, even on the defensive end. It hasn't hurt them, I think, the way that a lot of us thought it would. So, that seemed to be their Achilles heel. But at this point, point, it hasn't played out that way. It's actually been a strength. They've been such a strong small ball team, and they've been able to exploit so many matchups in a small ball setting that it really does help them more than it does hurt them.
Final moments with Sean Devaney. I don't know how many 6 seeds in postseason history have 50 wins, but when you have L.A. and the Timberwolves in round 1, 2 50-win clubs going at it, boy, that's going to be an unbelievable first-round series.
Yeah, and Anthony Edwards, is going to be, such a huge factor for them. He had a great start to the playoffs last year, and then kind of laid down in that last series against Dallas and against Luka Doncic. So to see Luka again, that's going to be a real test for Anthony Edwards as he tries to keep ascending to the top of the league. He's got the capability to be the best player in the league. This is really going to be a big test for him to see if he's moving up in terms of that. The other two things to watch are Jaden McDaniels, great perimeter defender. Is he guarding Luka? Is he guarding LeBron? And if not, then who's going to be on those guys if not him? And the other thing is Rudy Gobert. I mean, Rudy Gobert in the playoffs tends to get run off the floor, especially against a small ball team like the Lakers. What kind of impact can Rudy Gobert have in a series against a team that really doesn't play a center that much? So it's going to be a really fascinating series to watch.
I always have liked, I say always, it's only a couple of years in. I like the play-in, Sean, but I think in the Western Conference this year, this could be the problem with the play-in. You got Golden State and Memphis that have each won like 48 games that now have to go in a play-in with Sacramento and Dallas, who are like 10 games behind them. That's the risk factor with something like this, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That you could have, if Memphis were to win and then somehow the Warriors wind up losing to Sacramento or something, then what's been, especially since the trade for Jimmy Butler, a very good season for the Warriors will be crossed out basically, and that's the downside of all this. I do wonder sometimes if 10 teams involved in this aren't too many, if they could shorten it to 9 teams or something like that. Have a play-in among the final 3 teams or something like that. But yeah, there's a real danger here that you'll get Memphis or Golden State, and then one of those teams could just have a bad night, lose a game on Friday, and wind up out of the out of the mix altogether.
Sean, final question. We'll hopefully have you on in a couple of weeks as we get closer to the conference finals. But as we kick off the postseason tomorrow night, are you Oklahoma City in the West and Boston in the East? Are those your favorites going in?
Yeah, I think certainly the Celtics in the East, it hasn't been the kind of season that they had last year. They've had injuries. There's questions about Jaylen Brown, but you still have to have the Celtics, I think, as the favorite in the East. And the West, yeah, Oklahoma City, I think just because of the kind of season that they've had, because of the firepower that they have, you have to consider them the favorite. But you mentioned the Lakers, and I think a lot of people are going to lean toward the Lakers as well. There would be interesting if somehow, some way we came out of this with yet another Lakers Celtics NBA final. So I guess if I had to pick at this point, that's probably where I'd go.
Sean, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville, man, heavy.com and the coverage you guys will have as the NBA playoffs get underway.
Yeah, heavy.com for pretty much all the issues in the NBA, whether you're talking about the upcoming draft or certainly the postseason and what's unfolding there.
He's one of our favorites, Sean Devaney, heavy.com. Sean, enjoy the playoffs, man. We'll talk again soon, pal.
Thank you, Ryan.
1010XL takes you inside the program director's office with Dan and Jeff.
Get in here and close the door.
Mornings.
You have given me a terrible problem, and now you're going to fix it.
On 1010XL.
That's what I like, teamwork.
Tired of seeing the signs of aging? Spring is here, a time to renew. I'm Dr. Mark Capel, a board-certified dermatologist, here to help you look and feel your best with minimal to no downtime. Rejuvenate your skin, strengthen your core, and sculpt your body with advanced face and body treatments designed to restore your youthful glow and confidence. Just in time for spring and summer. A healthier, more fit you starts now. Visit Dermagnify.com and step into spring looking and feeling your best.
Plumbing problem? AC acting up? Septic tank trouble? Don't waste time calling 3 different companies. Just call Duck Rooter. We offer plumbing, septic, and air conditioning services, making it easy for you to work with one trusted company and one simple build. Every department has highly skilled experts trained for the job. For fast, reliable service from a company that does it all the right way, call 904-862-6769 or visit duckduckrooter.com.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Dempsey, and I only like to recommend the best, which is why I'm proud to say that I chose Pella Windows and Doors for my own home. And now's a great time to upgrade your home with 0% financing for 60 months. That's 5 years of interest-free payments on the best windows and doors in the business. Don't wait. Schedule a free consultation at PellaJacks.com or visit their showroom on Phillips Highway just north of Bay Meadows. For quality you can trust and savings you can't miss, that's Pella Windows and Doors.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialist is now offering ortho walk-in appointments. If you have an immediate need for orthopedic care, contact Southeast Orthopedic Specialist immediately. Avoid ERs and urgent care waiting rooms. For more information, go to se-ortho.com.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
1010XL covers every angle of the draft.
That is what I do.
Listen for draft previews brought to you by Hurricane Grill and Wings and Big Brothers Big Sisters. Roll through the offseason with AA Automotive and 1010XL.
Need fresh and flavorful lunch? Chicken Salad Chick has scratch-made Southern-style chicken salad in every bite. It's quick and delicious, so why wait? Come taste the best chicken salad today at Town Center, Durbin Park, or Butler Point at Chicken Salad Chick.
St. Johns County parents, does your kid have energy to burn? Want them to play a sport for their middle school? Sign up today for the St. John's Middle School Athletic Association. Tackle football, dance, and cheerleading. Who doesn't want their kid to be the next NFL quarterback or dance floor diva? You know how fast your kid can go from playing Xbox to practicing their touchdown dance or sideline cheer? Visit sjmsaa.org. sjmsaa.org.
Mia here, and let me tell you about one of our area's best resorts, the Sawgrass Marriott Golf Resort and Spa. The Sawgrass Marriott is not only a great destination for a vacation, but it is also a great destination for dining on the Florida's first coast. 1912 Ocean Bar and Rooftop is now open on Ponte Vedra Boulevard, featuring Ponte Vedra's only oceanfront rooftop bar and lounge. Serving finely crafted cocktails and delectable eats, it's open daily from 4 to 10 with complimentary valet parking.
Every morning that you wake up in a pest-free home is a good morning. And with Florida Pest Control's Pest-Free 365 Plus, you can. It's more than just a pest control or preventative maintenance plan. It's Florida Pest Control's promise that we'll be there providing pest-free living for your family all year long. To learn more about Pest-Free 365 Plus and to get your free quote, give us a call or visit flapest.com today and choose Pest-Free Living with Florida Pest Control.
At Performance Painting, we've spent decades protecting commercial properties with durable, long-lasting coatings. And we can bring the same expertise when painting the exterior of your home. With industry-leading materials and a proven process, we extend the life of your home, reducing maintenance costs and preserving its value. Now, for a limited time, save $500 when you hire us to paint your home's exterior. Just mention 1010XL. Go to performancepainting.com to schedule a friendly estimate. Performance Painting. Repair, protect, preserve.
Performance Painting.
Spring is in the air. Time to wake up your lawn with Heroes Lawn Care. Say goodbye to pesky mosquitoes with their organic and spray treatments. Perfect for outdoor fun. Keep your lawn clean and fresh with their pet waste removal for homes and businesses. Heroes Lawn Care takes care of it all. From mowing, edging, fertilizer, to irrigation, and much more. Visit heroeslawncare.com.
Summer in Jacksonville is coming in hot. Lauren Brooks here. Beat the heat with Turbo Tint. Their window tint blocks up to 99% of harmful UV rays and keeps your ride cool and comfortable. Book today at turbotint.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. What a day it was yesterday at Augusta National. Rory McIlroy in a playoff hole defeats Justin Rose, and with that, Rory McIlroy does a terrific thing in completing the career Grand Slam. And boy, you could see the emotion on Rory's face on 18 yesterday when he putted in for his first Masters title. Gary Smits has forgotten more about the game of golf than I'll ever know. We lovingly call him Smitter from the Florida Times-Union, and Gary's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Smitter, how are you, man?
I'm doing pretty good. Not as good as Rory is right now, but I'm doing okay.
Boy, the emotion yesterday, Gary, watching him putt in on 18 to win his first Masters. My goodness, what a scene at Augusta National.
Well, and it's understandably so. And he's had this pressure on him, I would wager, to complete the career Grand Slam a lot longer than the other guys. Nicholas was interviewed on Golf Channel right afterwards, and he said, and asked him if the career Grand Slam was in his radar, and he said, well, not really. But from the time he won the third of the majors, the last piece of the puzzle came like 3 years later. So he only had a 3-year wait. The other two of the other men who won the career Grand Slam completed the slam in their first attempt after they needed a fourth. And maybe Tiger was a couple of 3 attempts. Rory has had this pressure on him, and he's had it on his radar since 2014 when he won the British Open. That gave him the U.S. Open, PGA, and the British Open. So for 10 going on 11 years, Rory McIlroy has had this thing of completing the career Grand Slam, and he had to do it at probably, in many respects, the most difficult tournament to win, and that was the Masters. If you absolutely have to win a Masters, it's really hard to go out there, and you can kind of plot your way around a U.S. Open or a PGA course, because that promotes more kind of linear strategy, so to speak. But Augusta requires a lot of creativity, and it requires a lot of emotion. And and the guys who have that creativity and that kind of emotion in them, like a Rory, like a Tiger, Arnold back in his day, who thrived on creativity, it was expected that guys like that win a Masters tournament because that's what it requires.
Gary Smits of the Florida Times-Union with us here on 1010XL. Smitter, Rory didn't make it easy on himself. I mean, he opened up with a double yesterday on 1, and then the inexcusable situation on 13. I mean, my goodness, that's a shot that I probably would hit on some random weekend. 86 yards out, and Rory just mishit it, it looked like, into the ditch there. And then obviously missing that putt on 18 to force the playoff. I mean, you talk about the pressure being anteed up on him. If he did not find a way to win that thing, it would be a much, much different conversation today.
Yeah, exactly. And it would have overshadowed, if Justin Rose had won, it would have completely overshadowed a very deserving winner. And if Justin Rose had won, that's exactly what he would have been. He's a veteran. He's 44 years old. He's a Ryder Cup veteran. He has won a major, and he's been in a playoff for the Masters twice now and lost. Not because he did anything, necessarily. He did not hit a bad shot in either playoff. He lost because Sergio Garcia and Rory McIlroy made birdies to beat him. And at least we forget, Justin Rose made a really heroic run through the second 9 yesterday. He made 1 par on the back 9 at number 10, and a couple of bogeys, and the rest of them were birdies, including the 20-footer at the end that really reserved a spot for him in the playoff. He needed Rory to sort of self-destruct a couple of ways. But yes, you're exactly right. All we'd be talking about is Rory's meltdown, and he had every opportunity to do that. The double bogey at 13, the double bogey at 1, and a lot of guys might not have recovered from that. And then missing the last putt on 18, which pretty much was the same distance as a couple of putts he missed at the U.S. Open last year that kind of handed to Bryson DeChambeau. So for him to rally from all of those situations kind of speaks to a guy with a lot of scar tissue on him, with a guy who's, probably at this point you could say he learned from every mistake he made at Augusta and in major championships. And I think it was probably one of the, I hate to throw words like courageous and brave around in a game, because, courageous is a term I kind of like refer to our military guys or the first responder. Those are, there's nothing really truly courageous about coming back from a double bogey to win a golf tournament. But in golf terms, that was a lot of courage out there that Rory showed, and a lot of intestinal fortitude that he showed. And I think it's because he had all these other bad experiences, but he never let them encroach on what he had to do on the next shot.
Final moments with Gary Smith. Smitter, Rory McIlroy was already one of the best players of all time. He had 4 majors, had won 3 of the major championships. Now he finally gets his Masters. Now he's got the career Grand Slam. Where does this put Rory among the best players that have ever played?
Well, it puts him in a conversation with the top 6, the guys who won the career slam, and that's Nicholas, Woods, Player, Saracen, and I always miss one. It's like trying to come up with the 7 dwarfs. You always miss one name and everything.
Yeah.
So Nicholas, Player, Woods, Sears, and Hogan. I missed what should have been the obvious one. Obviously, all those guys are in the Hall of Fame. Rory would have been a first ballot Hall of Famer when that voting comes up, even without winning the Masters. But he's also one of, and we'll have to do a local angle here. He's also one of 3 guys who's won the career Grand Slam plus a Players Championship, and Nicholas and Woods are the other 2. So Rory was going to be in the Hall of Fame a long, long time ago. He's got 29 PGA Tour victories. He's got a ton of European Tour victories. So I think his place was already there. Now it's just been elevated by a victory in the Masters, and your career is always enhanced by winning at Augusta. And if you haven't won one at Augusta, it's always an empty chapter, an empty page, so to speak. And I'm glad for him that he's got it, because he does work hard. He does do all the right things as far as being the consummate professional in conduct and the way he goes about his business. He's kind of like Tiger. Rory he doesn't have enough hours in a day for all the demands put on him by either media, fans, signing autographs. I think he does what he can. But I think that, when you think of the phrase consummate professional, Rory McIlroy leaps right to mind there, along with Jack, along with Arnie, along with Tiger, along with a guy like Payne Stewart. I think Rory's right up there. I think he'll be a unanimous Hall of Famer. I don't know what system they'll be using when he turns 45 and he's eligible. But as it stands right now, it's a panel of 16 Hall of Fame members and a couple of media members. And if it's not 16-0, then something's wrong there.
Gary, final question. Rory's got a Players under his belt in 2025. He's now got the Masters under his belt in 2025. I mean, how good could we be talking here? I mean, what do you think his chances are moving forward to win some of the other bigger tournaments?
Well, look at this. The PGA is at Quail Hollow, and he's won 4 of the PGA Tour events at Quail Hollow. And 4 of the tour events there. The U.S. Open is at Oakmont, which is a long ball hitter's course. Okay, so that should play into him. And there's hardly any trees at Oakmont, so he doesn't have to worry about hitting those recovery shots through the branches like he had to do yesterday. And then to cap it all off, the British Open is at Royal Portrush in Northern Ireland, his home country. Wow. So I do think this. I think if he should happen to win, just imagine the pressure on him if he is going for the Grand Slam in one season in his native country. That will be nuts. I almost hope that he doesn't have to face that. But this thing is setting up as well as could be expected for Rory McIlroy to win the Grand Slam. And I know that's crazy talk in some circles, but there it is. He is suited to, his game is well suited to all three courses coming up.
Gary Smits of the Florida Times-Union. Smitter, I know you're busy. Thank you for taking time out. We'll talk again soon, pal.
Sure, no problem. Thanks for having me.
And thank you to my buddy Gary Smits of the Florida Times-Union, Jacksonville.com, for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark. What a scene it was yesterday at Augusta National with Rory McIlroy completing the career Grand Slam and getting that coveted Masters tournament. He had been there 17 years without a Masters win, and he got it yesterday in that playoff against Justin Rose. And you can tell when Rory won it yesterday, just the absolute emotion he had on the 18th green. It was unbelievable to watch. It was good theater, no question about that. And Rory McIlroy becomes the sixth golfer ever to complete the career Grand Slam. We certainly spent some time on that. We spent some time on college spring football as Florida wrapped up their spring practice over the weekend. And we obviously spent some time on the Jacksonville Jaguars and the NFL draft as we are now a week and a half away. Next Thursday in Green Bay, round number 1 of the 2025 NFL draft. Well, that will just about do it, man. It has been a very busy Monday night edition of Hacker After Dark. We certainly appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. We have a ton of people to thank. My buddy Gary Smits of the Florida Times-Union, Jacksonville.com. Always thanks Smitter for taking some time out. Thank you to Sean Devaney, Heavy.com, talking NBA with us as the postseason gets underway tomorrow. Orlando and Atlanta in the play-in game. The first game out of the gate tomorrow. The playoffs will start in unison this weekend. Hopefully Orlando can find a way to win either tomorrow night or on Friday. They play 2 home games. They could play 2 home games. They got to win 1 to get into the field of 16 in the NBA playoffs. And quite frankly, if you get 2 home games and you lose both of them this time of year, do you really deserve to get in? So it's in Orlando's hands, and that begins tomorrow night at home against Atlanta. So thank you to Sean Devaney for joining us back in hour number 1. My buddy Connor O'Gara of Saturday Down South, recapping Florida's spring game and talking about the craziness of the Nico Iamaleava situation up in Knoxville. And we also spent some time on looking around the SEC coming into the 2025 season. So thank you to Connor O'Gara and Brian Sexton, Jaguars.com. Also stopped by to talk draft, talk Liam Cohen, James Gladstone, and everything going on in Jacksonville as they prepare for the draft next week up in Green Bay. Now, we will be back tomorrow night on a Tuesday, and we will do it all over again beginning at 8 o'clock. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, great job as always. I'm the hacker Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Monday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. So for all of us here on HAD, have an absolutely terrific remainder of your Monday evening. And we will talk to you again tomorrow night on a Tuesday beginning